right? When you're talking to your team, instead of saying, hey, can you get this done by the end of the week? You ask, hey, can you get this done by the end of the day? Because a lot of times when you're asking your team, like realistically, a lot of things can get done in a day. We assume somebody already has things planned or already has projects on their plate. How do you make your team more productive? What is the difference between teams and companies that just kind of slowly change and move and they're getting stuff done, but they're not really like advancing, and the organizations that really grow? Today, I want to give every manager listening a simple technique that they can use. Heck, you could even use this as an individual contributor to make you more productive. Hello and welcome to the Leadership Launchpad. My name is Matt Jertson. I'm really excited for the show today. I will admit, hopefully I won't ramble too much. This was kind of an idea that came to me yesterday. It was a collision of two ideas that have been in my mind for a long time. And it's kind of a combination of the Eisenhower decision matrix which is a common thing that I'll go into about how to be more productive. And also the concepts from a workshop that I give on first principles leadership. Okay, so first let's talk about the Eisenhower matrix. Most people have probably heard about this, but just in case you haven't, it's a 4-box grid, right? Where on one axis you have important or unimportant, and on the other axis you have urgent or not urgent. And so then you have these 4 boxes where you have not urgent and not important. You have urgent but not important. You have not urgent but important, and then urgent and important. And the way people use this in kind of time management and productivity circles is you take all the tasks that are coming into you and you kind of put them into one of these boxes. And over time, what often happens, at least what I do, is I find myself, especially if I'm on any kind of deadline, I'm always doing the not important, not urgent stuff, right? My house is never cleaner than when I am on a deadline. And I won't say that, obviously cleaning the house is important, but I don't need, the dishes are fine, right? And so they're the kinds of things that it's not going to move the needle for my business. It's not actually important for my business. It's not something that needs to happen right now, but for some reason I'm going to do it. And so for all those procrastinators out there like me, you've found yourself just for some reason doing the not important, not urgent stuff because it's easy to do. And so that's the stuff that you need to not do, right? You either delete it or delegate it in the getting things done kind of verbiage. So you want to be getting rid of that stuff. And over time, you want to be moving to what most people say, ideally, if you want to be like a strategic thinker, you're doing the important, not urgent stuff, right? Where these are the things that it's like, in order for my business to grow or for my team to grow or for my project to be successful next month, next year, what are the things that I need to be doing? The challenge with that is that in today's world, whoever is doing the not urgent stuff, right? We're always consumed by these urgent things. Ideally, they're important, right? We're doing important, but they're urgent things. And so we're just going from fire to fire to fire to fire. And so the question is, how do we stop doing that? Right? And I think a big question is, what's the difference between people who are spending time on the important things that are going to move them forward versus the important things that are just keeping their head above water, right? They're, getting through all your emails, all that kind of stuff. And a light bulb clicked on for me when this idea of the Eisenhower matrix kind of merged with this workshop I teach on first principles leadership. And so let me tell you a little bit about that. So workshop on first principles leadership. It's kind of a riff on, I spent a lot of time thinking about the SpaceX algorithm. If you've ever heard of that, the engineers there, they use this thing that they call the algorithm, which is a process they use to make sure they're kind of doing the right, it's an engineering process that they use. And so it's a riff on that where it kind of starts by talking about, first we need to identify the problem that we're trying to solve and really clearly identify what it is. And then we need to make sure that we're, questioning every assumption we have about potential solutions to that problem. And it goes through a few different things. But one of the things that I mentioned is do it faster. Where I think that's the fourth step of whatever as you're going through this process of figuring out what's a first principles approach to solving this problem. The final step is always whatever solution you've come to, do it faster. And in the space world, this has been coming up a lot. There was this great a couple months ago. I think when this comes out, it'll be a couple months ago. There was NASA released kind of this like Mars architecture, and there was this great thread on X that was kind of like breaking it down of all the reasons that it was wrong. And a phrase that came out of that thread that I just love was "slow is fake." If you're telling me that we're going to go to Mars in 2050, that's not true. Right? Like you're being fake. Slow is fake. And I think we see that time and again in the world today. Is like the answer to progress is like, how can we do it faster? Peter Thiel talks about this a lot, where I think he talked about it in his book 0 to 1. And whenever he was meeting with founders and they'd say, this is where we want to be in 10 years, he would say, okay, what would you do if you were going to do that in 1 year? Right? And so that's how he talks about it. And then Alex Hermosi, he talks about this using the language of the power of end of day versus end of week, right? When you're talking to your team, how do you, instead of saying, hey, can you get this done by the end of the week? You ask, hey, can you get this done by the end of the day? Because a lot of times when you're asking your team, like realistically, a lot of things can get done in a day. But we just kind of nominally say, we assume somebody already has things planned or already has projects on their plate. So we say, hey, just do it at the end of the day, or do it at the end of the week rather than the end of the day. And so we have all these different things where it's like, SpaceX is talking about doing things faster. Peter Thiel is talking about doing things faster. Alex Hermosi is talking about doing things faster. And so these things merged in my mind, right? All this idea of doing things faster with the Eisenhower matrix. And the thing that clicked was, if our world basically necessitates that we stay in the important and urgent category as much as we can control what is urgent by giving ourselves tighter timelines, right? Like the important, not urgent is happening because we are saying, I'm going to get this. I'm giving myself Q1 to do this, right? Why are we saying Q1? If you have any ability to set timelines on a project, simply set them faster. Like that sounds really harsh, right? Like why would I do that? Why would I cause myself more work if the company or my boss or whoever is saying I have till the end of the week? Why would I not take that much time? And the answer is because you want to get things done. The answer is because you want to make a difference. If you really want to push the envelope of making yourself and your team more productive, then simply make the important things, or make all the important things urgent, right? Make it so, no, like we have to do this right now. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, that is exactly what happens in most of these organizations. And so you're telling me, wait, this can't work. And everything can't be urgent. I agree with you. Not everything can be urgent, or not everything should be urgent. But the important things we should be making urgent, chances are you will be left with too many things to do. And so then two things happen. First, those truly important things, you do them in kind of the most efficient way possible, right? There's this common phrase that projects expand to take up the time allowed, right? And so by minimizing that time, you are, and granted, let's just take 1 minute to say, like, obviously you can't say like, we're going to build a rocket in a day. Like there's realism that has to go in here. But the point is, do things faster, set timelines tighter than you normally would or than you feel comfortable with. It's like bring them back to just inside the comfort zone, or just outside of the comfort zone, I guess. And so again, two things happen. One, you streamline projects and cut things out that you maybe don't need to do. So you're kind of like going with this almost like minimum viable product approach to things, of you're like making sure like, okay, like let's only get done what absolutely has to get done. And then the other thing is, you're not going to do everything. You are going to drop things. You are going to leave fires burning. And I've actually talked about this before. This is something that Layla Hermosi talks about, of as a leader, you are, yes, a big part of your life is a firefighter, but even as a firefighter, you have to decide to let certain things burn. I have this common phrase that I say, having worked with all kinds of organizations, when you get into any company on the planet, it is a dumpster fire. Every company, every team from the inside is a dumpster fire. There are always things burning that, if you look at them the right way, seem like, oh my God, the whole building's burning down, but actually it's just a wastebasket. And so as a leader, part of your job is determining, okay, like what fire is going to go out on its own, what fire can I just like let is just kind of simmering, versus what fire is going to engulf the whole building, right? That's a big part of your job as a leader. And so by taking these important things and making them urgent when they maybe don't need to be, that is going to mean you drop some things, but that's part of the job of a leader, is deciding what to drop. When you do this, so going back to Alex Hermosi again, if somebody on your team is coming to you with a project, or you're giving a project to them, and normally you would say end of week, and you say, I want this by the end of the day, chances are, if they're a great team member, then they're going to look at you and say, okay, I was planning on doing A, B, and C today. I only have, if I'm going to do this, I can get it to you today, but I'm not going to be able to do 2 of those 3 things. Which should I not do today? Then you have to be able to answer that, right? You have to help them decide what to not get done. But by forcing the issue, pushing things together, that is how you truly allow yourself to make these decisions of where you're looking at, is this important thing? Which is more important? Right? And it allows you to push forward. So I get it. I've been rambling a little bit. I told you this was kind of a light bulb moment that I had the other day. So let me summarize here. When we look at the Eisenhower matrix, we say we want to be doing the important, not urgent things, but day to day, the world is so fast. Many of us find ourselves stuck in the urgent but important, right? We want important, not urgent, but we're in the important, urgent category. So we're just spinning our wheels, doing all this urgent stuff, and we're not doing the big, important things that we need to do to move the project or the team or the company forward. So how do we fix that? We change the urgency level of the other big projects. You go look at those important, not urgent things, and you give them timelines that pull them in so they become urgent. And by doing that, you are going to give yourself too much to do. And rather than burning out, rather than working 80 hours a week, which some people might suggest, I say you act as a leader and you make decisions of what you're going to not do. What is the thing that what you did think was important, but actually isn't important? This is a big thing that I'm going through with my business right now. What sales activities do I hold on to and think they're really important when actually they're not moving the needle? So let me get rid of them and decide that they're not important, or, because these other big things are. And so whether that's, instead of saying end of the year, end of the quarter, instead of saying end of the quarter, end of the month, instead of saying end of week, end of day, it's pulling in projects in a realistic manner, right? It's not, you can't go crazy. There's limits to this, but it's basically just saying, if I would have said, I'm going to give myself a month to do this, could I do it in a week? Could I? And then you make the decisions of, what does that change for what the outcome, this thing that I'm making, how does it have to look different and simpler? And then what are the things that I'm not going to do so that I can devote attention to this? Everybody wants to be more productive, but we're moving in a really fast world that makes it really hard to focus on those big things. And this is just something that popped into my head the other day as something that we can control. I hope you found that helpful, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Leadership Launchpad. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you are looking for help turning your organization's great engineers into great managers, me and my team at Better Everyday Studios would love to help. we deliver targeted and interactive training workshops that are designed to help build the 3 fundamental skills of any new manager: building trust, giving feedback, and setting goals. Reach out to me through matt@bettereverydaystudios.com so we can start making your organization better every day.